Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Before we get into the topic today, you might notice something a little bit different about my background, and that's Esmeralda. She's the doll I bought on my last trip. I was hemming and hawing, and I put a Twitter poll up, and you guys told me to go spend my money on an Esmeralda doll, so that's what I did. She's actually really cool. Precious Moments puts out this awesome line of characters that are just normally not that represented. So the entire kiosk during Flower and Garden had a lot of cool dolls. There was like an Ursula one, there was a Prince Eric one, just like really cool designs of characters that you just don't see a lot of. And of course I saw Esmeralda and I knew I had to have her. So now she happily sits here. I'm not sure if she's gonna stay there. I'm kind of playing around. I have a stand for her. I don't know. She might move around a little bit. If she does, it was definitely me and not because she's like possessed and trying to kill me. I don't think. Anyway, today's topic is going to continue my series of Fastpasses you don't need in the parks, and today we are covering Hollywood Studios. So, the Fastpasses you don't need in Hollywood Studios, pretty much everything. Video over. Okay, great. Thank you for what? No, I'm kidding. But kind of true. There are very few rides that you need fast passes for. And granted, with Toy Story Land about to open in just over a month, that changes a little bit, but not really. At least not for the ones that you don't need. That's not gonna change come Toy Story Land. But before I go into those, I just want to explain Toy Story Land a little bit because I think it's getting a little confusing for people with the new Fast Pass tiers. So this is how it's gonna go. Right now, Rock and Roller Coaster and Toy Story Midway Mania were in the same tier that you couldn't get a Fast Pass for both. It had to be one or the other, and then you can get the rest of your Fast Passes. With Toy Story Land opening, this is changing, and all three rides in Toy Story Land, so Toy Story Midway Mania, the Alien Saucer Ride and the Slinky Dog Ride. Gosh, I don't know the names off the top of my head. I guess I'm not that into Toy Story Land right now, so sue me. But the three rides that are going to be in Toy Story Land will now be in their own tier, and then everything else will be in that secondary tier, which means no more having to choose between Rock and Roller Coaster and Toy Story anything. What that also means is if you're going to this land for opening or even in the next few years, you're not going to get a Fast Pass for everything in that land. It's just not feasible. So you are going to have to pick the ride that you want to go on the most and make that your top pick. I would recommend, if you've been to the parks already and done Toy Story Mania, that you put that to the side and you pick one of the two new ones so you can experience it. But anyway, this video is about what not to pick, not what to pick. But that is just my better explanation of Toy Story Land as things change. So what do you not need to waste a Fast Pass on? And I kind of wasn't kidding when I said everything else. Basically, the ones that are most important aside from Toy Story Land are going to be Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, and Star Tours, and even that's iffy depending on how crowded it is or isn't. So kicking off the ones you don't need, I would just say shows, period. We're talking Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, that Disney Junior show that, I'm sorry, I don't have kids, so I don't really know it or know how to relate to that at all. Even the Frozen Sing-Along don't need Fast Passes. Why do I say that? Because they're held in these bigger theaters, and Fast Pass is really for the family that wants like the really good seats, or I guess just doesn't want to have to show up a few minutes early and worry about it. But for the most part, if you show up about 15 minutes before showtime for any of these, you can actually find pretty decent seats. I would argue the only way you wouldn't is if you're a very big group. Also, this one's kind of controversial, but I don't really think you need a Fast Pass for Fantasmic unless it is your first time ever seeing Fantasmic. I could see the argument for it if you have never seen the show before. And I understand that there's something nice about having a dedicated area of viewing and not having to worry about the kind of view that you're going to get. But my argument, much like the other shows, is that it's in a really big amphitheater, and for the most part, you can get really good views. I have shown up, I would say, 25 minutes before show and gotten decent seats. Sure, if you show up 5 minutes before, you probably will be in the back and not get the best seats, but I think, again, this is something that you just need to sort of plan into your evening. to get there in a decent amount of time to get some seats. But I just don't think that I would use a fast pass to avoid waiting 25, even 30 minutes ahead of the show. Because when you think about that time frame in context of rides in general, that's not a long wait. And I wouldn't recommend using a fast pass on a ride that always has a 30-minute wait, because you'd rather use it for a ride that has a 60-minute wait. So using that logic, I just don't really think it's worth it. Another attraction that does not need a fast pass is Muppet Vision 3D. Sadly, it doesn't get enough attention as I think that it should anymore. I think it's still a fantastic show. It's super, super funny, and it's worth seeing. But many times I've walked in and there's been near no one in the pre-show area. And then going into the show, I can't even say that we filled half the theater. Maybe 3/4 is the most I've seen in a long, long time. So you do not need a fast pass for that. The show is like, I don't know, every 10 minutes or so. It depends on how long the actual video runs, which I don't know off the top of my head. But because of that, it's very much like I talked about PhilharMagic. You're constantly filling in a theater and letting out, filling in a theater and letting out, and your wait will not be any longer than the longest length of the video if you manage to get there and like just miss the show. There's pretty much everything else in the park aside from like the bigger attractions. And you know, this park again is currently, I feel like as it stands, a quarter-day park, and with Toy Story Land will maybe become a half-day park again. I think Star Wars Land, then you're looking at full, maybe even more than one day, we'll see. But right now, don't waste your fast passes on the things that don't need them, and if you use them on the right rides, you can get through Hollywood Studios super fast. So those are my thoughts on Hollywood Studios. I would like to know in the comments below, are there rides that you never fast pass? But whatever it might be, I would love to know what you think about Hollywood Studios in its current state. Do you even go? Do you even bother to think about fast passes, or are you just waiting for the new lands to open? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe, because I'm making videos every single week. And then you get to hang out with Esmeralda and Cogsworth, and it's awesome. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.